Before there were hashtags, pride parades, or rainbow flags fluttering on skyscrapers, there were quiet rebels, people who dared to live their truth in a world that told them to hide it. The story of LGBTQ+ rights isn't just about a movement, it's about individuals who lit sparks in the darkest corners of history. And those sparks became flames. Welcome to Beyond the Rainbow, LGBTQ+ Pioneers Fighting for Equality. This isn't just a story of celebration. It's a story of courage, conflict, resistance, and love. While today's progress often feels like a colorful celebration of freedom, the path here has been lined with the sacrifices of countless queer pioneers who were never invited to the party, who were erased, misunderstood, or criminalized, but who kept going anyway. From the underground resistance of the 1969 Stonewall riots to the halls of legislation where activists like Harvey Milk and Marsha P. Johnson demanded visibility, the LGBTQ+ struggle has never been a monolith. It's a mosaic of intersecting identities: trans women of color, gay war veterans, lesbian poets, non-binary artists, asexual academics, each one breaking boundaries, one voice at a time. And yet, this fight isn't locked in history books. It's happening right now. As anti-LGBTQ+ legislation threatens basic rights in parts of the world, and queer youth still face mental health crises due to societal rejection, we are reminded that the rainbow is not just a symbol of joy, but of resistance. In today's video, we dive deep into the legacies of LGBTQ+ pioneers, some celebrated, others forgotten, who changed the course of history not with superpowers, but with relentless authenticity. Who are the fighters behind the rights many now take for granted? What did it cost them? And what can we learn from their bravery as we move forward? Stick with us as we go beyond the headlines and rainbow logos, and into the raw, resilient heart of queer activism. This is more than history, it's a tribute. A lesson. A promise to remember those who made today possible, and a call to continue what they began. The origins of resistance, Stonewall and before. Before rainbow flags filled streets and pride parades danced through cities, there was a quieter, riskier resistance. The LGBTQ+ rights movement didn't begin at Stonewall, but the Stonewall uprising in June 1969 became the catalyst that ignited a global flame. To understand its true impact, we need to journey further back to the people and movements who dared to stand up long before the world was ready to listen. In the 1950s and early 60s, being openly gay in America was not just frowned upon, it was criminalized. Police raids, blackmail, job loss, and forced institutionalization were routine. But even under such intense pressure, brave individuals and groups planted the first seeds of organized resistance. Groups like the Mattachine Society, founded in 1950 by Harry Hay, worked quietly but powerfully to challenge the idea that being gay was wrong. They organized discussion groups, published newsletters, and held protests. Small, disciplined, and always in suits and ties, trying to present a respectable image to counter prevailing stereotypes. Around the same time, women also began organizing. The Daughters of Bilitis, founded in 1955 by Del Martin and Phyllis Lyon, was the first lesbian civil and political rights organization in the U.S. They provided safe meeting spaces, education, and advocacy, encouraging lesbians to live with pride even in secrecy. These early groups laid the foundation, proving that change could come through collective action even if it started as a whisper. But whispers would soon become shouts. In the late 60s, the social and political climate was changing. The civil rights movement, anti-war protests, and second-wave feminism were stirring a sense of rebellion. LGBTQ+ people, especially those marginalized within their own communities, trans women, drag queens, sex workers, and homeless queer youth, were tired of playing it safe. Then came June 28, 1969. When police raided the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in New York's Greenwich Village, something broke. This time, people fought back. Among the first to resist were Marsha P. Johnson, a black trans activist, and Sylvia Rivera, a Latina trans woman, both known for their fierce advocacy and unwavering visibility. Craig Rodwell, another key figure, had already been organizing and documenting the struggle, ensuring that the movement had a voice beyond the streets. Stonewall wasn't the beginning, but it was the spark. It took decades of quiet courage to reach that boiling point. And when it exploded, the world could no longer look away. Understanding this timeline of resistance before Stonewall reminds us that every march, every right won, stands on the shoulders of those who dared to fight in the shadows. Visibility through leadership, political and legal trailblazers. For much of history, LGBTQ+ individuals were pushed into the margins, erased from politics, law, and leadership. But that changed when a few brave souls stepped forward, not just to exist, but to lead. These trailblazers didn't wait for permission to speak up, they demanded a seat at the table and reshaped the system from within. Their fight wasn't just personal, it was political. It was legal. And it was history-making. Harvey Milk is often the first name that comes to mind, a symbol of courage and transformation. In 1977, Milk became one of the first openly gay elected officials in the United States when he won a seat on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. But Milk's victory wasn't just about representation, it was a statement. He stood up in a time when being openly gay could cost you your job, your safety, or your life. Milk advocated fiercely for LGBTQ+ rights, affordable housing, and inclusive public policy. His assassination in 1978 was a tragedy, but it didn't silence the movement. Instead, it sparked a fire that still burns today. Then there's Barbara Gittings, who didn't win elections or argue in courtrooms, but fought powerfully through activism and advocacy. Often called the mother of the LGBTQ+ rights movement, Gittings was instrumental in challenging the medical establishment's view of homosexuality. Her leadership in the American Library Association's Gay Task Force and her brave protests against the American Psychiatric Association helped shift the public conversation. She believed representation was a revolutionary act, and she made it happen by putting queer voices on bookshelves, in professional spaces, and on the streets. And of course, Edith Windsor, an elegant warrior in pearls and a powerhouse in the courts. When her wife, Thea Spire, passed away, Windsor was slapped with a massive estate tax bill because their marriage wasn't federally recognized. She fought back, taking her case all the way to the Supreme Court. In 2013, the United States v. Windsor decision struck down the Defense of Marriage Act, marking a seismic shift in LGBTQ+ legal rights. Windsor didn't just win her case, she cracked open the door to marriage equality in America. These leaders didn't simply make history, they changed futures. Their stories prove that visibility through leadership matters. Whether through the ballot box, the courtroom, or a protest line, LGBTQ+ pioneers like Milk, Gittings, and Windsor showed the world that queerness and leadership are not opposites, they're deeply connected. And because of them, countless others have stepped forward to lead, speak out, and demand change. Intersectionality in the movement. When we think of the LGBTQ+ rights movement, it's easy to imagine it as one single, unified fight. But in reality, it's a beautiful, complicated web of overlapping struggles intertwined with race, class, gender, and disability. This is where intersectionality comes in, a term coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in the late 1980s, but one that reflects a truth activists had already been living for decades. It's the idea that our identities don't exist in isolation. They intersect. And when we ignore that, we risk leaving the most marginalized behind. Let's start with Bayard Rustin. A black gay man and a key strategist behind the 1963 March on Washington, Rustin's brilliance as an organizer shaped the civil rights movement. But his sexuality was often used against him, even by fellow activists. He worked in the background, not because he lacked the skills or passion, but because society, and even the movement he helped lead, wasn't ready to fully accept a gay black man. Rustin's story reminds us that LGBTQ+ history is black history. His legacy proves that the fight for civil rights and the fight for queer liberation have always been linked. Then there's Audre Lorde, the self-described black, lesbian, mother, warrior, poet. Lorde wrote about the power of living at the intersection of multiple identities and the pain that comes with it. She challenged both white feminists and gay activists to confront their own racism and privilege. Lorde believed that differences weren't something to fear or smooth over, they were a source of strength. Her writings forced people to see that feminism without anti-racism, or queer rights without economic justice, was not enough. She demanded more. She demanded wholeness. And we can't forget Miss Major Griffin Gracie, a black transgender activist who survived the Attica prison uprising and the daily violence that trans women of color still face. Miss Major has spent her life fighting for those pushed furthest to the margins. While mainstream LGBTQ+ organizations focused on marriage equality and corporate pride, Miss Major was out there advocating for trans women of color being criminalized, murdered, or simply forgotten. Her work is a living example of intersectionality where race, gender identity, incarceration, and class collide. The truth is, intersectionality isn't just a theory. It's lived reality for millions. If the LGBTQ+ rights movement is to mean anything, it must center those at the intersections, those who have always been told to wait their turn. Bayard, Audre, and Miss Major didn't wait. They spoke, fought, wrote, and organized, not just for themselves, but for all of us. And it's their vision, messy, inclusive, and unapologetically bold, that can truly lead us toward justice. Cultural and creative revolutionaries. From smoky nightclubs to red carpets and bestseller lists, LGBTQ+ artists have long used culture as both a weapon and a bomb, fighting invisibility with glitter, poetry, and unapologetic presence. In a world that often tried to erase or silence them, these revolutionaries dared to tell stories, perform identities, and make the personal political. Take James Baldwin, for example, a literary titan whose words pierced through the fabric of racism and homophobia in mid-20th century America. Baldwin didn't just write novels, he carved truth into paper. In books like Giovanni's Room, he gave voice to queer love, loss, and identity at a time when even whispering such truths could end a career. Baldwin's essays and speeches weren't just cultural commentary, they were spiritual reckonings. He didn't fit neatly into boxes: black, gay, expatriate, rebel. And in that resistance to categorization, he embodied the complexity and richness of queer life. Then there's divine-born Harris Glenn Milstead, whose towering wigs, explosive makeup, and chaotic performances made him a cult icon of underground drag. Working closely with filmmaker John Waters, Divine broke every rule of taste, gender, and decency. But that was the point. Divine's outrageousness was liberation, a riot in heels. In a time when queerness was still criminalized and pathologized, he strutted down the street like a walking provocation and a symbol of queer joy that refused to apologize. Fast forward to the 1990s and 2000s, and enter RuPaul Charles, a drag queen who turned camp into empire. RuPaul didn't just break into the mainstream, he bulldozed his way in with charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. From the iconic track Supermodel, You Better Work, to RuPaul's Drag Race, he reshaped how drag and by extension, queerness, was seen by the world. He transformed the art of gender performance into a cultural phenomenon, helping make drag a household term without stripping it of its edge. And finally, we have Laverne Cox, a trailblazing actress and advocate whose role in Orange is the New Black wasn't just a performance, it was a revolution. As one of the first openly transgender women to gain widespread recognition in Hollywood, Cox didn't just play a trans character, she embodied one with dignity, depth, and nuance. Off-screen, she's used her platform to educate, inspire, and push for justice, reminding the world that trans lives are not just valid, they are valuable, beautiful, and vital to the human story. From protest poems to voguing on primetime TV, these icons transformed culture into activism. Through art, they not only told their stories, they made the world listen. The fight continues, modern-day activism and global struggles. Though we've come a long way from the early days of LGBTQ+ resistance, the fight for equality is far from over. Today's activists are not only standing on the shoulders of those who came before them, but also navigating new and complex challenges: rising transphobia, state-backed discrimination, online hate, and violent backlash. The torch has been passed to a new generation, brave, loud, and unapologetically themselves. Their courage shapes the ongoing narrative of human rights in our time. Take Chelsea Manning, for example. A former U.S. Army intelligence analyst turned whistleblower, Manning risked everything to expose abuses of power. But beyond the headlines, her journey as a transgender woman became a powerful symbol of resilience. She spent years in prison, much of it in solitary confinement, yet emerged as a strong voice for transparency, prison reform, and trans rights. Chelsea doesn't just represent defiance. She represents transformation, the kind that speaks truth even when it hurts, even when it costs. Then there's Alok Vaid-Menon, an internationally recognized non-binary writer, speaker, and performance artist. Alok challenges rigid binaries in gender and beauty, using poetry, fashion, and social commentary to dismantle prejudice. Their presence, bold, colorful, deeply intelligent, is activism in itself. Alok's message is radical in its simplicity: every human being deserves to live in their truth without fear. They confront not just laws or politics, but the everyday violence of assumptions and invisibility. And from the global stage, Johanna Sigurðardóttir, Iceland's former prime minister, holds the historic title of being the world's first openly gay head of government. During her leadership from 2009 to 2013, she not only guided Iceland through a financial crisis but also championed marriage equality and LGBTQ+ rights with quiet strength. Johanna proved that representation isn't just symbolic, it's legislative, it's structural, it's revolutionary. Despite such breakthroughs, threats remain very real. In many parts of the world, being LGBTQ+ is still criminalized. Hate crimes are rising, often unpunished. Trans people, especially trans women of color, face daily violence and staggering murder rates. Yet, the fire of resistance burns brighter than ever. From marches and online campaigns to grassroots organizing and courtroom battles, modern-day activism is evolving, reaching across borders, redefining what pride and progress really mean. The struggle continues, not because we have failed, but because we are still growing. The new generation of activists isn't asking for tolerance. They're demanding dignity, equality, and justice. And they won't stop until the world listens. As we close this journey through the lives of LGBTQ+ pioneers, one truth becomes clear: the fight for equality has never been easy, and it's far from over. But every protest, every courtroom battle, every kiss in defiance, and every coming out story whispered into the silence has built the foundation we stand on today. From the impassioned speeches of Sylvia Rivera, who shouted for the rights of trans youth from the steps of City Hall, to the quiet defiance of Bayard Rustin, the black gay civil rights strategist behind Martin Luther King Jr., these individuals redefined bravery. They fought not because they were fearless, but because they were tired of being afraid. And because they believed in a future they might never live to see. Their stories remind us that pride isn't just a month, it's a mindset. Equality isn't a gift handed down, it's a right wrestled from the grip of discrimination. And representation? It's not a trend, it's a lifeline. But this legacy is not just theirs. It's ours now. Whether you're part of the LGBTQ+ community or an ally, the work continues through all of us. In the way we vote. In the stories we share. In the respect we demand. And in the spaces we create for people to be seen, safe, and celebrated. So let's honor these pioneers not just with applause, but with action. Let's continue to push the boundaries of acceptance until they disappear completely. Let's make sure that the future generations don't have to fight the same battles. Thank you for joining us on this journey beyond the rainbow. If this story moved you, enlightened you, or sparked something inside you, don't let it end here. Share it. Talk about it. Carry it forward. Because every voice counts, every story matters, and every person deserves a world that celebrates them for exactly who they are. Until next time, stay proud, stay kind, and never stop fighting for a world where everyone, regardless of identity, can live free, equal, and unapologetically themselves.